Hey guys, it's Wednesday afternoon and we have another Speedway Chat show. Hey Wilbur, how are you going?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Wonderful. So earlier on, I messaged Hans saying, "Do you want to test the connection?" And everything is so everything's all sweet. And he was like, "Yeah, dude, don't worry. There's like 3.5 hours until we do the show, so don't worry." And I was like, "Okay, cool." I said, because the other day when Magic came on, he was literally about a minute after we went live. He came on the show, and I think Hans has just broke a new record for actually before the show, but he was actually 4 seconds before we went live.
So I think
not
he deserves an award. So we'll see if anyone. We're not encouraging people to do this, but he deserves an award.
Yeah. So good show tonight. We've got some great stories and photos of Hans. So if you want to get in the comments where you're watching and get any questions you want to ask Hans. Hans has been out about for a long time, so there's lots of people who will have lots of stories about him. So get in the comments where you're watching and we will start the show. So I want to say a massive thanks to Ian Jordan from SP2A Speedway. We couldn't do the show without him. He's been a massive help. He's been a massive help with the bike giveaway. And just on that, the boys that are in the running for the bike giveaway, I've been getting messages all week. There's Ben Trigger and his dad are cycling the distance from Plymouth to Newcastle over the next few weeks.
It's 100 or 800 miles or something like that.
800 miles, yeah. Crazy. So they're going to do that. They're trying to build exposure for Speedway for themselves. Speaking to Lee, Ben's dad, they're looking to set up a crowdfunder, which is to help with the costs of running Speedway. You know, so it's an expensive sport, and you know, they said to me that they don't want to come across like they're begging or asking people for money, but same time, you know, there are people out there that do want to help, and this crowdfunder scheme, I'm going to help them set this up, and we'll probably set it up with all of the boys, because I think it's a really good idea, because there's options with this crowdfunder that you, as a fan, could turn around and literally donate a can of oil or a can of fuel or a tire, you know, so you literally could help these boys out with the littlest of things to help.
Speed is an expensive sport. Speed is an expensive sport, and anything that you can do for them, I mean, even a cent will help them. And I think even just the publicity that they're getting through us right now is helping them a lot too. So anything we can do to help British Speedway and what we're aiming for, you know, with the show. Can you hear me?
I lost you for a second there, but yeah, no, we're all good.
Okay.
You're back. But right, so perfect. We'll obviously let you know a little bit more about that crowdfunder thing. But I think it could be a good way to get the fans engaging with the riders. So I think we should introduce the man of the moment, Mr. Hans Andersen. How are you, Hans?
All right, mate. How you doing?
You good?
Yeah, I'm not too bad, mate. Thanks. Yourself?
Wonderful. How's the whole situation with COVID been treating you?
It's been good in some ways. It's given me a lot of time with my two little boys. So, you know, I always try in whatever situation I end up in to look at the positive, and you know, that's definitely one of the positives in the COVID situation. Me being at home a lot more.
Cool. So what's your general day now? Because the other day when I phoned you, you was in some digger or something, wasn't you?
Say again, sorry, mate.
What are you doing day to day at the moment? Because I think the other day when I spoke to you, you was in some sort of digger or something.
Yeah, well, well, I've started working a little bit now because you never know with this COVID. The future is a bit unsure, and with me only doing a total of 12 meetings for the whole of last season, I sort of compare it with an apple tree. You can have loads of apples, but if you keep taking the apples down, at some stage you get low. So yeah, I'm in the fence business at the moment, putting up fences and stuff. But hopefully Speedway will return, and I can go back to Speedway as a full-time professional.
Of course, that's what we want to hear from all the riders. So for next season, what have you got lined up? Where are you riding and things like that?
I'm riding obviously in my home league in Denmark, which is Vojens. They will be back in the top league again after 10 years out. So funny enough, I rode from the last time they rode in the top league, so it will be nice to ride there again. UK, I'm still at Peterborough if it runs, fingers crossed. And Poland, I've joined Daugavpils, which actually is in Latvia, but they ride in the Polish league.
Oh wow, that's cool.
Is that in the second division then?
Say again?
Is that in the second division or the top in the extra Liga?
No, it's actually 2 divisions down because they got relegated. I've been riding for the past 5 years in the league just below the top league in Poland, but Daugavpils got relegated and they contacted me, and it's a place I've always enjoyed to ride, and the offer was good, and hopefully we will be riding, so I've joined them.
Cool. And what's your opinion on the new rules in Poland?
It's very difficult, when they've tried this years ago, trying to limit riders of where they can ride and how many leagues they ride in. But end of the day, at the moment, there's not a lot you can do because Poland is where the biggest earning is. But saying that, if you're not sure that you're riding week in and week out in Poland, so you won't be paid anyway if you're not in the team.
Yeah, and there are a few riders that. I mean, there is only a few riders that ride like more than 2 leagues anyway. There's not a load of them, like I think Doyley's one of them, but it's they've made this rule up, and I get it. I get why they're doing the rule, but at the same time, I feel like there's a very few that are getting punished for this rule where, for instance, like Smarslick doesn't want to ride in England. So it's not really affecting him because he was only ever going to ride in Poland.
Uh-oh, we lost Jerry.
Oh, well, I'm here, mate.
No, there we go. I'm here. I'm back.
Oh, you're back, man.
There you go. You're back.
I disappeared. Magic.
You're
so,
Jerry, you're connected to your laptop camera now too, by the way.
Oh. Okay. So let's go back to this one.
And now we only see your little Bitmoji thingy. So something must have happened to your other camera. So while Jerry has his complications with his little thing there, we can speak to Hans. I mean, Hans, you and I, we really got to know each other during the 2018 season, I think. When Dad rode in Dakar and stuff like that. It was a cool season, and we got to mess around and have a good laugh. And speaking about the Manny, Luke Becker, I think you were the one who originated that name. So, I mean, what was like one of the best memories riding in Dakar that year? I mean, it was like we were all one big family, and it was cool because we had Magic with us as well, and Magic's like a big brother.
We had Dudek
as well, yeah. Burnson, we everyone used to give each other crap, and I think that was a funny part in it. I think what was your best memory racing for that team in 2018?
Obviously my best memories was obviously being in the same team as your dad, because obviously I raced against him for many years, but I've never really teamed up with him many times, so it was nice to be teamed up with him. But like you said, that year our team was very good, and there was a lot of good lads in the team who just made so much fun to go to Sweden week in and week out, and even with you lot coming along as well, it just made it more fun.
Right. And then I think when the team had such a strong bond and everyone, knew each other that well, it was cool to have, riders like you in there, because you always need to crack a laugh and when something's going on and you're like, we're having a bad first meeting, it's all right, what are we going to do about it, and I remember we were winning our the first round. We were like winning against Eskilstuna, and then in like the last few heats they beat us, and we're like, oh, okay, that's how that's gonna work, and then we need to just get used to that and go along with it. And it was just a cool season, because it was like I was racing at the time too, and getting advice from riders like you as well, and it was cool to just be around you guys, and we got to know each other well. And I think moving on from that, we had we ended up the season second place, I think. And I mean, going through such a great season like that and then ending up second, what's your thoughts on that? I mean, it's like, oh, how does that work?
Well, like I said, we did have a great season, and it was just so much fun riding. And going into the finals, we actually thought we was going to be, well, we were favourites, but they just rode really well, and we got beaten. And it really felt like we lost the gold rather than won the silver. And even though we'd had such a good season, it was just so disappointing, because for me personally, it was my final meeting of the season too. So driving back, having lost the Swedish Championship as well from Eskilstuna, it was a long drive back home.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a bummer that I mean, looking at it too, we had riders like Magic and Dudek that would put in their all, because I think everyone wanted to try a little bit harder when they got to know each other even better, because it wasn't just like competition. It was they wanted to I think just they wanted to do better, and going into that meeting, we were all very confident, and I think they just outrode us. It was a bummer to watch, but that's really just what happened.
Yeah, they just rode. Well, they were the reigning champions, and they seemed to just raise their game to a higher level. But saying that as well, we did lost Dudek before the finals due to injury, and he was replaced with Kaspersak. So the team spirit was there, but it changed a little bit as well for the finals, which was unfortunately for us. But it was Eskilstuna's game.
Yeah, it's a bummer to think about stuff like that. And I think we're getting some comments here. Ask the legend if he remembers the nasty 2010 crash in Motala when you flew over the fence.
Yeah, I did. And I obviously because I had a big crash and flew over the fence.
Boys,
I was
watch this one. I think we have it.
Oh, we know it. Oh my goodness.
Andreas Jonsson. Saidino täpper till. Men Andreas vänder till. Men Saidino... Oj, 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 oj.
Oj, 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 oj.
Herregud.
Yeah, it was a pretty big crash.
Did you end up like hitting that bank or the wall, or would you hit? Like when you flew over the fence?
I think I managed to hit the red light.
Aj.
Oh yeah.
Och helt sonika alltså flyger rakt över sargen där. Hur hårt
stöts den crashes? I was watching it earlier and I was like, oh.
Alltså visst, det är tungt.
You hit like a microphone.
Yeah, it was a microphone I hit.
Yeah, that was crazy. They might have caught your might have got some good sound from that.
Yeah, it was. You probably hear me going, swearing when I flew past. No, it was a big crash, but I was quite lucky to walk off. I didn't hurt myself. Saying that, I went into hospital to get checked, and saying only because it was a high-speed crash, and they wanted to check my neck, and they put a neck brace around me, and I ended up being in that brace for 6 hours. So if I didn't have a sore neck due to the crash, I definitely had a sore neck after the break, the neck brace.
Oh Jesus.
I
Yeah,
know.
some of those things when you're like thinking about it, and then and you have a big crash, and they're coming over and they want to put you in all these things. I'm like, I'm fine, I'm good, I can walk away, I'm good.
I know.
So-
They have a lot of precautions they have to check, but sometimes we're okay. We're made of something special, our spear riders.
Yeah, and they come over and they start asking you so many questions. You're like, hang on, let me figure out where I'm at right now. Just give me a second.
So we've got some photos here. I'm not 100% sure if this is you, Hans, but who's more crazy, the fans or you?
I can't see a picture.
I can't see a fit photo. Oh, there
I
you
haven't put it
go.
up yet. I was waiting
Yeah.
for you to answer.
Yeah.
Is that you with the red nose on?
Yeah, it is, and it's for Parkin, 2004, I think it is.
Where were you at?
It's Parkin at the Danish GP. It was.
Oh my goodness.
This was to practice, and if you notice, I've got my arm in cast due to a crash at Ipswich on Thursday night, a couple of days before. So this was my very, very first time I was going to ride in front of my own fans at home in my home GP. At Park, and that was, and it didn't happen.
Oh my
Got
goodness.
it. I mean, I have put the parental advisory thing over the top of those, but look, check the woman in between. She has no idea what's going on behind her.
Oh my goodness.
Well,
Yeah, I went through Facebook earlier. It was a good one.
yeah, I got the picture. I can upload it if you want.
No, I've got the other one. Yeah. So what about this one?
That's kind of bien. That's a Bellevue.
Is that not even you?
Picture.
Oh, it's on your profile.
Is it?
Yeah.
Well, no, it's definitely not me. But he's been very fast because he's flaming hot, the bike.
Yeah. Okay. Well, here we go. What about this one here? It's a good photo.
That's the GP in Morlilla.
Oh, it looks like
Brilliant.
Molilla dirt.
Yeah, well, it was pretty wet that night, to be fair.
I think every GP in Molilla is pretty wet.
Yep, but this one was probably the wettest one of them all. That's when AJ won his very first GP. Not that I can remember.
So looking at, I looked at Wikipedia earlier, and there's some conflicting advice on Wikipedia. It says that you had 1 bronze at the Golden Helmet and 2 bronzes and a silver. It never says you won it, but in this photo here, you're wearing the Golden Helmet.
Yeah, I think this is 2008.
Right.
And I think they put it wrong because I think they said Nicky Pedersen won it, but he wasn't even in that meeting.
So, yeah, it says
So
silver.
I do have
silver in
one of them.
2006. Yeah, 2006, and then bronze in 2004, 2012. So you want to get that updated?
Mm-hmm.
Shit.
Look, and Grand Prix wins. You had 3. Is that right?
4.
4 Grand Prix wins. 1 as a wild card, and then replaced Tony Ricardson afterwards.
Yep.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Can you name my 1 GPs?
You had the Scandinavian, Italian, and it's on Wikipedia. I looked at it earlier.
German?
Scandinavian. No, it doesn't say Italian. I think it was a German one, and there was 2. It was 2 in 2006. It says, but it doesn't say where. It
was Copenhagen 2000. Well, I won my very first one in Gothenburg. Ullevi, sorry, yeah, in 2004.
2004. Yeah.
Yeah, Sweden, and then I won 2 in 2006, Copenhagen, and in Prague.
I didn't even know you had a Prague win.
Yep.
There we go. So you got to ride in that era with the Tony Ricardsons and the Jason Crumps and obviously you're still riding today.
And the Greg Hancock.
Who's that guy? Yeah, he didn't really ride with him very much. I think he just stuck him in the fence all the time.
Not really. Not really.
No?
No. See, that's what I mean. That's great. I'm in front.
Yeah, you're miles ahead. You stuck them both in the fence, it looks like.
Can we take a second and look at that dirt?
Which one? That one?
Yeah. I mean, it goes rock hard, and then you have, I don't even know if it's really dirt or if it's just a dusting.
Yeah. Well, that is Taranzano, a hideous track. Sorry, but it's definitely not one I like, but it is, like you say, very fun.
I think they're going back there next year, aren't they?
Yeah, good luck.
They're going back to Taranzano next
year. They are.
So riding, going back to riding with like the likes of Crumpy and Tony and stuff like that, and then also riding today with the riders, what era do you reckon was harder, now or then?
Obviously, I have to say back then, with not disrespecting any of the riders today, because the GP nowadays is very tough and they are very equal, and it's down to small things who wins on the day. But yeah, it was very tough then. I think it was probably because the riders I rode against they've also been my idols when I grew up, because they were like 10 years older than me. So obviously you wanted to beat them, but you sort of idolized them as well at the same time.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's a photo I found here of you and Torren. Look at that lineup in that team.
Me, Chris, Darcy, Ryan,
Sully,
and Masinski, and Jagusz.
Yeah. So there's a good team there. Do you have any like memorable moments riding with Darcy?
Well, can I? Yeah, only one, or can I only mention one?
Well, you can mention all of them.
Mention all of them.
No, maybe not all of them. Only ones that are clean anyway.
No, it was fantastic to be teamed up with him and Chris at Torren, because even as they've shown, they never give up, and they just added so much fun turning up in Highland week in and week out. Obviously, we are serious when we're riding, but it doesn't really matter what sort of job you have. If you enjoy that little bit extra, you do it a little bit better. Most people know nowadays in Poland, obviously very professional, but the pressure there's a lot of pressure even before you get on your bike. And for some riders, it just takes a bit of the enjoyment out of riding in Poland.
Yeah. So was you there? Is this the same sort of era when they were buying the cars and burning them around Torren and stuff like that? Yeah.
Oh yes.
Was you there the night that they rode around Torren in the dark?
No, not on the speedway track. No.
When Chris came on, he told us the story. Well, I think it was when Darcy was on as well. They told the story of riding around Torren in the pitch black because they just got beat by somebody they shouldn't have got beat by, and then they got called into the boss's office the next day going, what happened last night, boys? And they were like, no, nothing, and then they showed the cameras of them riding around in the pitch black. Yeah.
You can see the sparks coming off the steel shoe. That was the only thing you could actually see.
Oh, brilliant.
But yeah,
that's what's crazy is that they actually went out at Torren and rode in the pitch dark.
Yeah, I don't even think they had helmets on. But
must like we normally say in Poland, must practice. Practice makes perfection.
Right.
If you can ride Torren in the dark, you can ride it perfectly in the day.
Anytime, yeah.
Anytime.
I have asked around. There's a few people I've asked. I was like, have you got any stories on hands? And everyone came back with the same ones of like, no, I can't tell them publicly. Nothing that could be said publicly. But Ashtec did get back to me, and he did say he did tell me about you guys caused controversy in the 2009 Cardiff, where you borrowed Emil's bike, and the rest of the riders all kicked off and said it wasn't fair that you were borrowing someone else's bike or something like that. Is this true?
It is true. I actually came third on Emil's bike because
Hey, you beat my dad on the line.
Yeah, I know. I passed him in the final. Now, for me, Cardiff GP was always one of the GPs where I just wrote my English equipment because there's no point of having bikes from abroad brought over because my kid was in England was equally as good. But saying that, I only had 2 bikes and one broke down during the meeting. So I jumped on the other one. It didn't seem that good. So Emil was already out then. So I asked Ashley because we had Ashley did my engines back then as well. So I said if I could have a skit on Emil's bike, and he said, yeah, obviously Emil was already out, eliminated. So they gave me his bike, and it was pretty good, to say the least.
Wow. Huh.
Cool. And people didn't like that. That's a bit strange, eh?
Yeah, I think the biggest moan was really that I used his bike complete as it was, so I didn't have my own covers, and they said, "Oh, well, you're not having your number shown, so that's why you should be disqualified because you're not showing your number."
Oh, you didn't even switch the covers.
No, because he had a different sort of frame or whatever. So if I would have put my own covers on, it would look silly.
Huh.
Right.
Now going up to him, were you like, "Hey, my bike's slow. Can I use yours?" Or like, how would that even like come? And I mean, Emil goes pretty good around Cardiff. Hasn't he had a Cardiff win?
I think so.
Yeah, so I'm surprised that he wasn't in the running for the final.
But this goes years back. Yeah, that's when he was new to the GP. I know he came in the first year. He was smoking all of it. I think this was probably the first year he was in the GP, so he would have never ridden Cardiff before. So it was funny. I still consider myself being quite lucky. I get on with my boys, same with Emil, and he said, well, we have the same tuner. He said, yeah, just use my bike. Obviously, I've known Susie, Emil's manager, for so long. He was with Tony as well before, so it was a lot easier.
Yeah. So it's funny that you have like a lack of equipment when we find pictures like this. There's 9 bikes there, is that right? Yeah, 9 bikes.
Yep.
Wow. And that was a typical year when you was riding GPs and things like that, and to have that many bikes?
It was because as you know, I've always been known to do many leagues, many meetings, and back then we did a lot more meeting just in England on his own. We did more like 2 seasons there, just so I had quite a few bikes there, like 3. And then you had 3 bikes for Swedish league and Polish league, and then obviously I had another 3 bikes only for GP use because GP the bike had to look a little bit more newer,
sexier.
Look sexier.
So I'm thinking that these bikes were very similar to what he's talking about here, the Eric Andersen replica suit. Eric ran the white and gold stuff, and those bikes back there were, white and gold. Tell us about that replica suit.
Well, before I tell you about the suit, I probably have to tell Eric is what has always been and still is my idol in Speedway, and he's the whole reason why I started riding. I watched him win his very first World Championship when I was 4 years, and I said to my dad, I want to be like him. And within a year, my dad bought me a little PW50 bike, which I could ride. And ever since then, I've followed Eric. And obviously, when I started riding the ATCC, the mini speedway bikes of Denmark, I had his colours, complete, exactly copy of it, everything. And that year is 2008 when I had that replica suit made because I was sort of red that year in the GPs, mainly due to me riding at Peterborough in England where we were red, black and white. So I thought to myself one night, maybe I could change colours overnight. And there's one thing. It's always funny because people always sort of know you if you're riding blue. I said, "Oh yeah, he's blue," so you know what they would do on the track and whatever. So we did this practice at GP in Copenhagen, and I still rode in my normal colours, the red ones. And for the next day, we've changed everything. The bikes were exactly like Eric's with gold rims and covers and suit and everything. And I think if I couldn't have, well, I'd probably already beaten a few of the riders before we even got on track, because they would just say, "What's going on here?" Then they couldn't sort of get their heads around that I've changed colours overnight.
That's so crazy.
That's pretty cool.
It's quite funny, and it's something people should, if they have the opportunity to try and do, well, they just change overnight. Because like most people, they always know, like the likes of Nicky rides blue, white, Smarslick is blue, Wolfie is black, and it just messes with your mind if they would suddenly come out completely different.
I can remember when Greg did it, where he had a set of Kevlars for each Grand Prix throughout the season.
Yeah.
And he had like a replica XI batteries and things like that. But I remember exactly that. He had different coloured suits, and you're just like, I know that's Greg Hancock, but it looks just so different and not right, because he's not his normal colours.
Yeah,
I think some of them are like green and white. I'm like,
yeah, he had a green and white one. Yeah,
nothing wrong with green, mate.
For you, it's not. For you, it's okay. Because you're Hans Andersen.
Thanks, mate.
Yeah. So, is this yours?
Oh, it's an English vehicle, so it's not mine.
Oh.
Nah, again, it's back to a sponsorship deal I did with the previous owner of Peterborough. And he said, "Oh, you have to come ride for me." And it was sort of like, I knew you had a Ferrari. I said, "Yeah, well, if I have to ride for you, I want you to let me use your Ferrari." And all right, he'd done a deal like that, so I had a Ferrari whenever I wanted to go out.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah. It was quite funny. It definitely turned some faces when he came driving around, and that, especially back in Denmark, because we don't see Ferraris here in Denmark that often due to tax. The tax on our vehicles is just ridiculous.
Right. So somebody asked in the comments before, how's your relationship with Nicky Pedersen?
Oh, we've got a very good relationship. We talk to each other's off season, and when we, obviously we speak to each other too when we meet on the tracks or meet in town or whatever. So the people thought we never liked each other, but he was more depressed than us, really. We've always gotten along really well, and even when we were kids, we spent a lot of time together. Obviously,
So
still riding speedway against each other. So again, sorry, mate.
He lives close to you.
He lives within 20 minutes or so.
Oh, cool. He wasn't at your wedding, though.
Nah. he
was.
Mind you, might have been Denmark riding the World Team Cup then.
On that day, was it?
I think so.
Yeah, I remember. So when I was a magician, I actually flew out to Hans's wedding, and he said about me he said about me doing his wedding, and I was like, yeah, sure, I'd love to. That'd be great. And then I then booked another job in Portugal. And then he phoned me like at the last minute and goes, "You still coming to do my wedding?" I was like, "Well, you never confirmed." So then I was like, I can't really do it now because I've got to go to Portugal like the following day or something like this. So the only way it worked is I flew from Luton to Copenhagen. I had to get a train from Copenhagen to somewhere close to Hans's house. I think was it your manager came and picked me up, or Kilderman's manager came and picked me up? Someone came and picked me up.
Kilderman's manager, yeah.
Drove me to the wedding. I was there for maybe an hour and a half. I then got back in a car, drove to Bulland Airport, jumped in a plane, went to Stansted, which is obviously a different airport to where I took off for earlier that day. And then I flew from there to Faro in Portugal. And then I did a job in the evening for the Prodigy in Portugal, and then flew home the next day back to Luton to where my car was. That was just to do Hans's wedding. So it was
You living the life.
It was very cool, mate.
It was cool, and we hypnotized Peter. That was pretty funny. He couldn't remember his name, and he couldn't move his hand, things like that. So
it was great. You know, it was very thankful, and it was a big surprise, a good surprise for all my guests, because obviously I didn't tell anyone you was coming, so it was just great, and it was good entertainment. Obviously, you were very good at what you did, so well done.
Imagine if he would have flown all the way to your wedding just to be bad, and like, oh yeah, I'm going to Portugal tomorrow. Like, oh, I feel bad for those people. Oh, he made a card disappear.
Well, he done a lot more than just make cards disappear, that's for sure. But luckily, I've seen Jerry on many occasions pull his tricks and do his magic, and he was very good. So, you know, spot on.
I think I'm gonna have Jerry in my pits when I go pro. I think hypnotize other riders and stuff, dude. That'd be perfect.
Instead of them trying to get them to say what their name are, I said, "Oh, you can't twist the throttle."
Yeah.
Well, we hypnotized Chris on Darcy's meeting. We hypnotized Chris to forget the number 3. So they're going, "How many points do you score in a race?" And he went, "I don't know." so he just forgets how many points he gets.
Can you do it over a phone call?
Yeah, of course.
Do it.
I wouldn't do it over the phone, but you can. Oh. Anyway, let's change the subject.
Yeah.
Let's bring it back to Hans. What happened here, Hans? This looks like a crazy night.
Well, me and my friends, we've done it for 20 years. So we have one night a year. We come to, not one weekend a year. We all gathered in like a summer cabin, and basically what it's all about is just drinking and eating all weekend. And that was a picture. That was a picture from one of them.
I think Wilbur's froze. I don't know, or if he's just staying really, really still. But well, he can't say anything. This photo's nothing to do with Hans, but I just think it's a good photo of Wilbur.
Yeah, it is very good.
Yeah. So he's disappeared for a second. So yeah. So where are you riding? You're not riding Sweden this year?
I wouldn't say no, because obviously with the COVID situation, I'm open-minded to whatever. But I'm not planning to do Sweden, because I've got enough riding in Poland, Denmark, and in England. But last season, when Denmark didn't happen and England didn't happen, I did do Sweden and a bit of Poland, so at least it gave me some meetings. But like we spoke about before, where I only did 12 meetings for the whole of the season.
Yeah, it's not good. Well, if you want
back, Will.
Oh, thank you. I enjoy the introduction. Thank you.
If you want some extra meetings in the UK, I know a team that wants you to come ride for them. So.
Oh yeah. I know. You did ask me.
Yeah, I know. We spoke. So just for the people that haven't seen this, there is this video here, and I'm going to play the whole thing because it's a pretty good video. So can you explain what was being said between you and your fellow Danish friend?
Number 19 then, and a big one for Nicky Pedersen, Hans Andersen, and
let's go to the start. Here we go.
Heat number 19, it is there. Pressure is on these riders, particularly the inside.
This is one hell of a race.
Yeah, but this is the first race.
Look how tight
Yeah,
it is
this
on
is
Anderson.
It all happens in the rerun.
Spectacular speedway.
You know what I love is that you're able to just go in so fast and turn the bike so hard.
He's really being pressurized here. Anderson
I mean, this has got to be JB Watt's like biggest moment. He's like got to be having gears right here.
He comes off his bike now, though.
Yeah,
There you
and then loses
I
it.
tell you what a race. And poor
Yeah,
Davey
Samuel
Watt
Rolinko doing the commentating.
goes down on the
Yeah.
track.
I mean, at that point, he's just got to be gutted,
He's
thinking,
not happy with
I was in second place in the
He
GP.
has gone down.
His first GP as well.
Right there. He hit a bit of a hole, lost his balance a bit, couldn't compose.
But let's
I
go
honestly,
forward.
I wish you could call a restart to that, like all four, because
Davey has to get off the throttle for a second.
he pushed him hard. It wasn't like unfair racing, but I mean, I don't know. It's hard to say.
Maybe a little bit of experience at this level. Who's to say?
Well, if you watch it now, I think the reason why
Let's
it
go back to the rerun. The rerun is awesome as well.
The inside two gates. Patterson's made a great start in
Wolfie
red.
wins.
Look at
Oh,
him.
Wolfie, what a cutback.
Switch up the inside, and the fans have really
Bit hands winding on here. Here he comes.
Has taken the lead against the two big
Well,
guns.
Hands,
He's gone
his
and it's
style
just
is
me
awesome.
and Nicky having
He
fun.
does understand it, but just look at that.
Oh.
Can he come back? Right back
I
up
was
the
waiting for
inside. He knows
Nicky
what
to
he's
wipe,
doing.
just clean him out.
He can do good.
No.
This is one of the best times I've seen Cardiff in this good track conditions.
Switching the inside. Now look at the
Yeah, it was
Danes
very
really
good.
having a go at each other.
There he
Anderson
goes.
in blue, Patterson in
Oh.
red. Now Patterson comes back up the inside. Oh, they're wheel to wheel. Will it end in tears? Anderson holds on in blue.
Oh.
Closer than getting here, Sam. Woohoo. As you say, Hans is just so.
Oh.
He looks
Talking
over his
about turning
shoulder.
the bike
He
on.
used to say his famous phrase, it's a ding-dong battle.
It's amazing
Yeah.
stuff, and Todd Woffington raises the Millennium Stadium roof. Second place,
Wow.
Hans Andersen. Nicky Pedersen third, but Anderson and Pedersen fellow
Here we go.
coaches.
So what's there to hear between you and your mate, Nicky?
I said, next. I was just annoyed, really. I think I'm mostly annoyed due to the fact that he got stopped in the first place. I was winning, and I only got a second in the rerun. But
Nicky's
it was a hard race.
It goes on for a little bit. Yeah?
Yeah, this is actually the year after Nichols and Emil had the same sort of bunching together and crashed to the fence and ended up fighting each other.
Yeah.
I remember watching this in Swedish commentary, and the Swedish guys go, "Oh, now there's going to be a fight. There's going to be a fight. There's going to be a fight." Like they say it 3 times, and there's nothing that happens, and they just go straight into the wall, and then come back, and then go in the pits.
I know. It was a heat of a moment from both of us. I was just annoyed that instead of him probably trying to ride his own race, he was more focused pushing me wide, and then Wolfie just made a big cutback and left us. But, you know, it was racing. There was no hard race, dirty riding in any of the
In that move at the end where you nearly take Woofy out, though, are you and Nicky concentrating on yourselves and then nearly collecting Woofy at the same time, or did you see that coming? Because I didn't.
I think Wolfie probably just stalled in the corner. That's why.
Right.
No, I mean the fact that you came in so fast right there, and then Woofy completely stalled it, and then you came in and you backed it up, just barely clipping his back wheel. I was like, that's cool. That's cool.
Well, I had to, because I had someone who's equally as fast as me chasing me into the corner really hard, so we had to come in quick.
Yeah, that's true.
So we got
have you ever ridden over at Auburn? Did you ever get to ride up there, Fast Fridays?
Say again, sorry?
Did you ever get to ride at Fast Fridays here in Northern California?
I did one meeting, the Munster.
Oh yeah, that one.
Yeah,
Munster
that's the only one. I've not done the others.
I think you do good around that track. That track is like very, very narrow, and then you go into the turn that's about paperclip. You just go in. It's longer straights and very, very tight corners. So everyone comes in with a lot of speed and then flicks it and then goes in the next one.
Oh yeah, it would be nice to try. Obviously, just to go to America would be nice.
Right, and then the monster race that we did, that was a cool one too. How'd you finish on those?
I didn't win any of them, so I don't remember how I did. It was a good laugh. It was sort of combined with a holiday, and obviously not been on a bike for quite some time when we flew. It was a different. Me not being normally riding them sport tracks either, so it was a good experience. And again, being on someone else's equipment and everything else, but it was the same for all of us. But it was good fun. I hope one day we could do them all again.
Yeah, they're talking about potential doing it again, and Jerry can come over and do some filming.
Yeah,
love a holiday to America. So Dan Green has commented here saying, "Would you consider doing training days or coaching in the UK?"
Yeah, why not? I don't mind to sort of give something back to the sport which we all loved, and if it suits with my calendar and my personal life, I would love to if I have a little bit of a couple of days over.
Cool.
For sure.
Have you seen what we're doing with our bike giveaway?
Nah. Sorry,
mate. So in last summer we decided that we wanted to give back to British Speedway. So we've asked around, and we got a few people to get involved, and we have been donated a bike, and we're going to go through that bike. And GM are supplying us an engine kit. Ashley's going to put the engine together and put some of his parts in it. Joe Hughes is contacting a load of brands, and we're going to build this bike to as high a level as we possibly can, and we're going to give it away to a up-and-coming young rider who we feel deserves it, but also somebody who puts in the work to promote Speedway and promote themselves in a positive and professional way. Then we got speaking to Greg, and Greg was saying, well, why don't you bring them out to America? And he said, we'll get like a training session. So these young riders, whoever it is who wins the bike, will also fly out to the US and have a one-on-one training session with Greg and Wilbur. And ATPI are helping with covering the costs of the flights. This is all for one person. All they've got to do is put their all into promoting themselves and Speedway in the UK.
Oh yeah. How do I put myself in the picture of that one?
Paco said the same thing.
But any advice for young riders that are coming through now? If you could do it all over again, is there anything that you would change, or any advice that you would give to a 15-year-old Hans Andersen?
Obviously, just enjoy as much as you can riding the bike, and there's various things. Obviously, you have to be very professional. You have to be focused. You have to put in that extra bit of work, and I think we can all see, because British riders in the past was always not always, but they probably didn't do as much physical training like other riders around the world. And like last season, you could see Robert Lambert, how much physical training he put in, and he was a European champion and qualified with GP and had a fantastic season. So you can definitely see what comes with it.
Yeah. What you're trying to say, like Joe Scream wasn't an Adonis of physical performance. Is that what you're saying?
Nah, not really. Times have changed. Everyone does it nowadays. Everyone trains very hard, and everyone are very fit off track as well. So that's mainly one of the reasons why you have to do it as well. And going back to Fritz Screeney.
From when you start, is that a big change from when you started to now? Like I remember, I don't want to say, I think I've already said his name on the show before about this particular incident, but I was at the Des Nations, I think it was Destinations or was it MXGP or something, and there was a particular rider that was there completely blind drunk, and then 5 days later when I won a world title. I don't think you get away with that. I don't think now with the likes of Smarslick and things like that, you're just not going to get away with having a piss up a few days before. Or...
Nah, you won't, because everyone is just so focused and well trained, and it is very difficult. But again, saying you probably wouldn't get away with it, you'll get tested doing it.
Yeah.
Thank you. Speaking of talking about being fit or whatever, I've just had my pizza delivered.
Oh, lovely.
All right, bud. Well, we'll let you go if your food's there. We wouldn't want it to go cold.
That's all right, mate. That's all right, mate. I can eat it cold.
I can eat it cold. So has anybody got? Okay, we've got a couple more minutes with Hans. Anybody got any more questions for him? And then we'll let him go so he can have his tea. It's a lot more professional now than it was back in the 90s and the noughties. Oh, there we go. So Hans, highlight of your career. What's the is there any stories that you think, that wouldn't have never have happened if it wasn't for Speedway and what you've done?
Well, obviously, when I introduced my idol back in '88, Eric, when he won his championship, and they normally did a big meeting, massive meeting in Voyens called a World Championship Revenge, and I was only a little boy then when I introduced him at parade. It's a moment that I would take to my grave, and something I really enjoyed, being only a little kid back then.
Cool. Someone says, do you remember the fight in the pits in Manila?
Which fight, by the way? Because there's been a few.
There's been a few
through my times.
This one's in Manila.
Oh, this is Steve. Oh, Steve. Yeah, I do. It was actually that the picture is back. We saw earlier, me being all covered in mud. It's from that same old night, and that's Steve, who's Scotty's mechanic back then. He wanted to fight me in the pits, so I always wind him up when I see him.
All right. Would you encourage your boys into Speedway or steer them away from it?
Obviously, I wouldn't steer away from it. I will support my two boys in whatever they choose. But saying that, the workshop is already full of bikes, so if they want to go out and ride, they can go out and ride anytime they want.
Cool. Have they had to go at Speedway?
Again, sorry.
Have they had to go at Speedway?
Yeah. Both of them had the goes on PW50. So the thing is that I'd like them to race, but at the moment with me still being racing, it's very hard because I have to go there and support them full on when they start riding, and that's something I wouldn't let my missus have the responsibility of by herself. That's for sure.
Yeah. Cool. I'll tell you, there's another one. Do you remember what happened to the hire car? I think it was in Prague. I don't know if it just happened or it happened on that trip when we was at the Golden Helmet.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember what happened to your hire car?
Nah.
With the door?
Nah. Sorry. I don't remember that.
At the hotel, when you reverse the hire car, and snap the door off?
Nah. You sure it's me?
I think you might be just saying this because it wasn't him. He's like, I don't know what you're talking about.
He's claiming it wasn't him. No,
yeah.
Who was you with?
So, if it was
There's a load of riders.
If it's a Golden Helmet, it wouldn't have been me, because I would never have a hire car, because I would join my mechanics, drive down with him.
Who was we with? There was a load of boys, and we were all there chatting. And it might have happened just before. I didn't actually see it, but I remember it being big talk in the pits that you had a hire car and the door got snapped off of the hire car, hit like a railing in the car park in the hotel.
Snapped off the door.
You know,
So
I would have remembered. It definitely wouldn't have been me. I've had loads of hire cars through my career, and I've had loads of skids and wheel spins and whatever, but I've never snapped the door off.
I was sure that was the story was with you. Maybe it was someone else, but it was definitely at Prague. I remember having that conversation.
I've never made any secrets over, you know, that I would like to, because, you know, when you take out a hire car, you go, oh, you want it fully insured? And I thought, yeah, I have it fully insured, and then hand it back completely written off. But I've never done that. I've
got a friend. So I did my mate's wedding. He's
as you do.
Yeah, I did magic at his wedding, and I was on after the speeches doing magic around the tables and things like that. Now, this guy was a European touring car champion, and he lived in this massive house in the middle of nowhere. And turned up at his house, and there's two best men, and they're stood in the wings like with me, and they're both going, "Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god! I can't believe I wrote this speech drunk, and now I'm going to have to go out there and say it, and I can't think of something else, so I'm just going to have to say it." So they're both absolutely bricking it, thinking, "Oh my god, this is the worst speech ever." And for some reason, the groom got up and did his own speech, right? And he absolutely annihilated everybody, himself, his missus. And he was like, "Oh yeah, when we first met, like I was seeing somebody else, she was seeing somebody else, and you know, but we decided that we wanted to be together. So I finished the girl that I was seeing, and she finished all of the guys that she was seeing, and the whole room." Oh my god! So
did they live happily ever after?
Oh my god! It died. It died so bad. It was the most awkward wedding speeches I'd ever heard. Right, and then the best man comes out and he goes, "Oh yeah, so we went on the stag do. We went to Verbier and we hired a car. We got in the car and we were like, they went, 'Do you want the extra insurance?' And he was like, no, we're fine. We've got," and they said his name. He's a European touring car champion. Like, we're fine. Like he's got this. 20 minutes later, the hire car's on his roof in a ditch, and then he turns around and says, and he says the woman's name and says, "So that's why you don't have a free bar at your wedding, because you wrote off this hire car in the Alps." Oh. So pretty good story, yeah. So yeah, they didn't do everything they wanted on the wedding day, and she didn't know that and got told at the wedding. Did not go down well at all.
Oh, I can imagine. I can only imagine.
Here we have a message from one of the contenders' moms in the show. We have Ben Trigger's mom, Sarah Trigger. Have you got any spare tools or anything you would like to get rid of that would be useful for a young 14-year-old who is using his Christmas money to better himself for his racing? At Ben Trigger. He's also the kid who is doing the 800-mile bike ride, or any help or advice or moral support. I think this goes for all the kids right there. If there's anything you would like to, give in, advice or mental strength that help them through their careers. What do you got?
Obviously, sorry, mate, you just fell out a little bit when you sort of read the actual question, but
oh, I did.
I'm always there with moral support, and if I watch other riders go around, the young ones, I try to cheer them on, or not trying to correct them, because I'm just trying to give my advice, because correcting people is not right, because I'm not doing it. I'm probably not saying I'm doing it right myself. Speedway is one sport which I've loved, and it's a sport you can't say I know everything. Every time you go out, you learn something new.
We were saying this before. So with the bike build that we're going to do and rebuilding this bike, we want to go through doing a load of tutorial videos. So instead of, like, when you turn up to Speedway, I remember when I used to ride years ago that I remember being in the pits and I was not having a good day, and someone would come and they'd be like, "Oh, you've got to change this and change this and change that and do this and do that," and like I'd go out and then I'd ride even worse because that wasn't right for me, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know myself what was the right or wrong thing to do. So like we're looking to do a series of videos about bike setup and things like that, where so the riders then can then turn around and go refer to these videos that are maybe coming from people like yourself, and so they have a bit of a reason for why they're going to go for a longer footrest over a short footrest, or they're going to go for the seat position where they're going to have the seat position, handlebars set where they're going to have the handlebars, and they have that because they understand why they changed it, not just because some bloke who's 6 inches taller than them has turned around and said, "Oh, you've got the wrong footrest on," because that's what they ride with.
Mm-hmm.
Do you agree, or do you think that's the right thing to be doing?
Yeah, it definitely is the right thing. It's a good thing, and all the info that you can give to people, it's great. Some people can take in. They might not be any good for them, but it's definitely something that they can take in and try out, because being new to Speedway or even up and coming, there's a lot of people telling you what to do and not to do, but you really have to try it for yourself.
For sure.
There's one here. Was it Hans at Peterborough that came out of the toilets, scrambled in the tapes, and went and won the race?
No, it's Niels Christian Eversen. It was a televised meeting, and I think he forgot he was in a race because he's changed ride number. And as a rider, if you ride the same number, meeting in, meeting out, week in and week out, you sort of memorize what races you're in. And obviously, Neil forgot he changed numbers, so he went into the toilet. Back then, they had the toilet in the corner of the pits, and the 2-minute clock went on. And where's Niels? He was in the toilet in the pits, and he came out. Everyone was there, and he didn't even get his back protector on, and had the bike fired up for him. He just quickly put his helmet on. I can't remember if he rode across the center green, but straight to the tapes and won the heat. I don't know if it was because he didn't finish what he was actually doing in the toilet, so he had to rush back for it. That's why he won the race.
Maybe it was that. Maybe it was that.
I got a good one of those stories too. We were in Poland, and we were on the way to I believe it was like Bydgoszcz or something like that. And of course, being my dad, he wanted to leave an hour before the race started, when he should be there an hour before the race starts. And we get stopped by the cops on the way there because he was speeding apparently. He gets stopped. It was also in Bydgoszcz. Remember this? It was in Bydgoszcz. It was not in his home. It was in the away team's city. And so we get stopped by the cops, and the cops taking his dear old time. And we ended up we get in 15 minutes from the track. They were the team manager like called the referee and was like, "Listen, this is what's happening. Greg got stopped by the cops. Da, 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 da. Can you give us some extra time?" And he was like, "I'll give you 10 minutes." And we're 15 minutes from the track. So usually they don't start exactly on time. They'll give you they'll probably end up like going a couple minutes over. So we show up to the track, or he calls his mechanic, and he's like, "Have everything laid out in the van, like all my gear laid out in the van, so I can quickly put it on, and then have the bike ready, fired up, ready to go." And so he gets, as we pull up, 2-minute clock goes on. He gets in the van, changes, puts everything on. I mean, knee braces can take 2 minutes to put on. He puts everything on. 2-minute clock's already on. He runs out, has his helmet like scrambling, putting on. His steel, almost forgets his steel shoe, puts the steel shoe on. And like you have this mechanic just sitting there warming the bike up, like ready to go. He gets on the bike, goes out there, doesn't even get to like do any gardening at the start, and then rolls up and wins the heat.
Typical your dad.
Yeah,
I
very typical.
got a similar story a couple of years back. I was supposed to ride at Woolwich, but for some reason we got stuck up in traffic. I flew into Warsaw, and it's about an hour and a half drive to the track, and I got stuck in traffic. So, and it was a televised meeting, and they wanted to start the meeting. I still wasn't there, so our boss said, "Oh, we have to delay this." And obviously, being a televised meeting, they couldn't really delay it to start, and I was the one. So they put down a protest on Carbies just to delay it a little bit. But by the time I pulled into the stadium, 2-minute clock went on, and my bike was ready. So I ran to the pits, got most of my gear on, helmet straight on, pulled straight up to the tapes. You know, just before the clock ticks 0, and no practice start, no nothing. Half of me protecting gear missing, but I got to the tapes. I tracked and won the race. And one of the riders from the race came up to me afterwards, and he said, "Mate, it just shows we don't need to do all this gardening, practice starts and whatever. It's a lot of rubbish. You know, you just pull up straight to the tapes without doing nothing and won the race." So it's quite funny.
Yeah, that's what was crazy. And they were talking like, "Oh yeah, we want to. Maybe we can put in the reserve for this one and then switch him out or something like that." And then my dad was like, "No, I'll be there. I'll be there." And I'm like, "Dad, why don't you just let him do that, and then you don't have to scramble that much." But being my dad, of course not. You can't. You need to show up late.
Yep. It's sort of going to the concert. The people who have to go on stage and perform, they're never on time either. So people always have to go for the stars or the star attraction.
Exactly. So I mean, it should definitely be the same for Speedway.
This is we've already touched on this earlier, but it says, Hans, if get into the Championship League, would you consider helping them out? Definitely a top class number one, hypothetically, of course.
Yeah. Well, I've never been to Plymouth before, so I can't really say if it's a place I would like to ride or not. But obviously, like you said, we touched this subject. It's very difficult because I am riding for Peterborough to do another league in the UK, because that would mean my kids and the wife, they do live in the mud. I will never see them during the season, and reaching an age that I've got now, my boys mean the world to me, and I won't miss. I'd hate to miss watching them growing up, because I don't have, the boys are only young ones, and soon they're out the door, and maybe they don't want to spend time with you. So I want to spend as much time with my 2 kids, which I can.
That's fair
exactly.
enough. Absolutely fair enough. All right, Hans. Thanks for coming on. It's been great speaking to you.
It's great being on. Great to see you, boys.
And we'll have to get you on again, and maybe we'll get some advice off you for the bike build, and we'll talk to you again for sure. No worries.
You're welcome. I just want to say to all people, I hope everyone's safe, and hopefully soon we will be able to see each other again on speedway tracks and watch some racing, and some of us riding the bikes, which we love doing. But in the meantime, stay safe and look after everyone and themselves.
Cheers.
Have a good one, Hans. Thanks for coming on.
See you, mate. All right.
Stay in the background. We'll speak to you in a sec. So that was a great show.
For sure.
We for next Wednesday, I have spoken to Rob Godfrey and Damien Bates about coming on, talking about what's happening with the league structure for the 2021 season. I did get a phone call earlier today saying that it's not going to happen because they've moved the dates. So I need to speak with Wilbur after the show, and maybe possibly we do a Thursday show next week, and we'll get Rob Godfrey and Damien Bates both on the show talking about what's going to happen with the Championship and Premiership for next season. So that should be a good show. You can get your thoughts in. Let us know exactly what you feel. So today, me and Wilbur have been filming this show separately because we're trying to look at a different way of putting the content out. So talking, I have a guy that works with me who does all of our Facebook analytics and all that sort of stuff. So we're maybe looking into doing some shorter form content, which is going to come out alongside of our show. So
come out in better quality, and we'll pick out some good parts of the show, and we'll maybe something we can look forward to in the future.
And it will be much more polished and represent Speedway how we want it to be represented, and not grainy and glitchy as it can be sometimes. So yeah, right, we will see you soon, and we will
thanks guys,
commented and likes and shares and everything. It's much appreciated. And also, before we go, can you all go and like all of the young guys that are in the Speedway competition that we mentioned last week? I'll do a post this week with all of their tags,
their Facebook
tags. For their Facebook page and Instagram, so you can see what they are up to. I've just seen Mark Phillips has sent me a message, but I'm not going to be able to read it before we go. So adios, guys. See you next Wednesday. We will let you know who we've got on, because the BSPA show will be the following week now. So
peace.
Adios. See ya. Bye.